Look, guys, I am extremely tired right now. Maybe because I just spent a week in Las Vegas. Maybe it's because I came home and I stopped all use of caffeine and alcohol for my health. Or maybe it's because a conservative conspiracy theory convinced a guy to try to kidnap the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and instead of conservatives being disgusted by this, they just made up more conspiracy theories to make it seem like it didn't really happen or it wasn't a big deal. I'm so tired. Okay, so in the early morning of Friday, October 29th, a 42-year-old man broke a window to enter into the home of Nancy Pelosi, who is Speaker of the House of Representatives. She's number 3 total line of succession for the presidency. The man woke up her sleeping husband and said, "Are you Paul Pelosi? Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" Paul Pelosi informed him that Nancy was out of town for a few days, and then he managed to call the cops. And as the cops got there, the would-be kidnapper started bashing Paul Pelosi with a hammer. They arrested the man and they took him away. And that is terrifying, actually. Cards on the table. I am politically opposed to Nancy Pelosi. I'm a progressive. She is a centrist. She has spent considerable time opposing progressives. I say this not to look like a saint for condemning her would-be abductor, but to simply provide an example of how a reasonable person can disagree with a reasonable politician. I think Pelosi should have not given Trump $5 billion for the border wall. Yeah, she's not my favorite person in the world, but despite that, I will not be laughing at the story of Nancy Pelosi's 82-year-old husband having his skull cracked open by a hammer-wielding maniac. And I'm also not going to be making up or spreading conspiracy theories that the attacker was in some kind of illicit relationship with Paul Pelosi. Things are always chaotic in the hours following breaking news, which is why I try to only publicly comment on them if I can do so with facts that are reasonable and backed up by sources. From the jump on Friday, it seemed to be public knowledge that there was an attacker who broke in looking for Nancy Pelosi and attacked her husband when he couldn't find her. And I immediately assumed that this was politically motivated, by which I mean I assumed that this was a far-right kook of some sort, because what are the chances? But I kept my mouth shut and I waited for more information, didn't tweet about it. And more information did make all of that crystal clear. David DePape admitted to first responders that he was sick of the lies coming out of Washington, D.C., I didn't really want to hurt him, but this was a suicide mission. I'm not going to stand here and do nothing, even if it cost me my life. He also said that he had other targets, including a local professor, as well as several prominent state and federal politicians and members of their families. And that all seems pretty clear. He's also been in the news before, having been a father figure to a locally famous San Francisco nudist who is a prominent 9/11 truther. According to the LA Times, DePape followed a number of conservative creators online, including Tim Pool, Glenn Beck, Daily Wire Plus, and the Epoch Times. DePape also has a blog called Friendly Friends, which is a popular meme amongst neo-Nazis, ironic or otherwise. He used it to post typical far-right neo-Nazi nonsense, Pizzagate, casual anti-Semitism, COVID's not real, women are bad, etc. He even says Gamergate was his introduction into this world of alt-right bullshit. It all builds into a really clear picture, to me at least. A wacky guy who is obviously prone to conspiracy theories, who has fallen into the far-right echo chamber where he became radicalized. He heard nonstop about how evil Nancy Pelosi is, how she was central to stealing the election from Donald Trump, so he decided to do something about it. But it's like with COVID, where no amount of evidence that it's real, that it kills, that masks work, or that vaccines work, no amount of evidence can convince some people that, reality exists. Reality does not matter here. So loads of conspiracy theorists are already claiming that DePapp's blog is faked because they don't understand the difference between when a site is published and when it is archived by archive.org. And, DePapp's history of dabbling in left-wing conspiracy theories like 9/11 trutherism has led many conservatives to pretend that all of this other more recent obvious right-wing stuff is just made up or overly exaggerated. So according to them, if he isn't some far-right conspiracy theorist, then who is he? Well, obviously, since Pelosi is a liberal living in San Francisco, it's clear that DePapp must have been Paul Pelosi's secret gay lover. Yeah, of course. The New York Times has a very thorough explanation, timeline of how conservative leadership has spread this completely ridiculous conspiracy theory. First, a local San Francisco-based Fox affiliate station falsely reported that DePapp was found in his underwear, which, even if that were true, it would still not even come close to suggesting a consensual relationship between him and the 82-year-old husband of the Speaker of the House. But okay. Regardless, that kicked off a tsunami of homophobic speculation, which was then boosted by the new king of Twitter, Elon Musk, as well as Representatives Ted Cruz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Fox News's Jesse Waters and Tucker Carlson, and many others. All of this happened around the same time that I happened to read a Psychology Today article by Dylan Selterman, PhD, how experiments show that people share content on social media that they know is false. People care more about their political tribe and popularity more than accuracy. Those who share misinformation aren't gullible, they're social actors. Oh, look, something relevant to my interests. So Selterman uses this recent study to support his post that found evidence that when sharing content on social media, people will sacrifice accuracy in exchange for social standing. This was true even for content that was not political. For instance, participants were asked if they were willing to share a story touting a debunked conspiracy theory that the TWA 800 plane crash was caused by a missile launch followed by a government cover-up. This is not a salient issue that divides liberals and conservatives. While most of the participants said they would never share such fake news, over 40% of participants were willing to do so, provided that there was an incentive. In part, they were doing it for the likes or to be socially recognized. They were also likely to share misinformation when the researchers offered raffle tickets in exchange for the number of likes that they received. Participants seemed to realize that they would get more engagement if they shared conspiracy theories and that this would pay off for them. And yeah, that's true. I found the study was published in the January 2023 issue of the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology. That's right. Hello from the future. It sucks here, same as back when you are. So don't get your hopes up. Anyway, I'm happy to say that this is actually a solid study. It was pre-registered. I love that. Means the researchers couldn't just look at a bunch of data and pick out whatever data looked good to use as a hypothesis. In this actual series of studies, the researchers built a little mini social network, and they recruited people to pick which posts that they would choose to share. The posts could be conspiracy theories or they could be real news stories, both of which were rated by a third party. So the subject would either see like, the Astros won the World Series, rated 6 out of 7 on the truthiness scale, or birds aren't real, rated 2 out of 7 on the truthiness scale. And even though people know that birds are real, they could be incentivized to share that one instead, not just through money or a physical reward, but just by likes and shares from bots, basically, because it's not a real social network, it's just a computer. That's interesting, but a pretty obvious drawback of all this, as the study authors themselves note, is that the subjects know that this isn't the real world, and they know there will be no repercussions to sharing misinformation. No shaming, no loss of respect, no what the hell is wrong with you, no I raised you better than that from your mom, nothing. So we can't say that this is how people will behave in the real world, but we can say that this gives us a look at one aspect of the spread of conspiracy theories on social media. Regardless of truth or even belief, if you reward people for sharing misinformation, some people will share misinformation, even if the reward is a thumbs up, a fave, a like, an upvote, whatever. And even if those rewards just come from bots. And of course, we already know that this is true to some degree. We know that some people will share misinformation for rewards, even when they know that that information is untrue, and even when they know that that information is dangerous. We have clear evidence that people like Alex Jones, Charlie Kirk, Fox News grifters in general, some of them know that they're telling lies sometimes, but they do it anyway because we reward them with money and attention and power. Like, come on, even I don't think Tucker Carlson is so stupid that he thinks 82-year-old Paul Pelosi was secretly paying for a 42-year-old rent boy who looks like this. But helps Tucker cash those checks, so why not? So it's not surprising that the same thing happens on a smaller scale. Little baby Tucker Carlsons will share an obvious lie because it gets them likes and retweets and upvotes and attention. All of that sounds reasonable to me, although back on Psychology Today, Selterman goes way off the rails in his wrap-up, saying, these results challenge some of the widely held notions that people share misinformation on social media because they are gullible. On the contrary, most people who share falsehoods do so because they believe it provides them a social benefit to gain attention, status, popularity, and respect in one's community, or to help one's political tribe defeat another political tribe. These motivations have little to do with people's naivete or poor reasoning skills. This is why I don't share the view that misinformation on the internet is an enormous problem that threatens democracy. I think at best it's a nuisance, on par with similar types of misinformation found in supermarket tabloids, which have been around for more than a century. Yeah, no. No. Just to be clear, this study did not show that most people share falsehoods because of the social benefit, as he says. It actually showed most people don't share falsehoods at all. And among those who do, some were more likely to share them if they were rewarded in an environment in which they would suffer no negative consequences and only positive consequences. In reality, there are plenty of people who are naive and have poor reasoning skills. It takes all kinds to spread a conspiracy theory, and that includes both the nefarious lie pushers on Fox News, for instance, and the credulous believers who lap it up like David DePape. And yet you really can't compare the Stop the Steal conspiracy theory, for instance, to the Weekly World News. As far as I know, no one ever broke into someone's house and cracked their skull open with a hammer because they thought Bat Boy might be hiding inside. So no, let's leave the actual conclusion to the authors of that study who came to the opposite conclusion as Selterman. The spread of conspiracy theories has filled the online environment with misleading information that severely hinders our ability to make effective decisions and address global crises. To effectively curb the spread of these conspiracy theories, it is crucial to not only educate people on how to discern true news from conspiracy theories, but also to regulate and improve the social environment in which people share information. It may be hard to suppress people's motive to generate likes as they interact with others on social media. However, it may be feasible to reduce the social engagement rewards people derive from sharing conspiracy theories by regulating bots and providing greater social rewards for sharing true news. Well, that sounds like a good idea to me. If you agree, like, comment, and subscribe and tell that algorithm that you're appreciating real news, I guess.